After I found my granddaughter and her baby living under a bridge, I took matters into my own hands. Imagine cruising down a rainy highway, your heart sinking as you spot a familiar face huddled under a cold, dripping bridge. It's your own granddaughter, clutching her tiny baby against the relentless storm. But what I did next wasn't just rescue. It was revenge on the system that failed them. Stick around, because this story of grit, family bonds, and unbreakable resolve will leave you breathless from the very first twist.
Hey, story lover. Welcome to the Narrative Hub, Reddit Stories. Believe me, this adventure gets wild, but it's only epic with you. Seriously, you make this possible. Want more stories? Greater adventure? Smash subscribe right now. Smash like. Comment below. Let's go.
The wipers on Margaret Mitchell's 10-year-old sedan fought a losing battle against the deluge. She was 67, a woman who had survived cancer and buried a husband. She believed her days of war were over. She was wrong. Under the grim concrete shadow of the 195 overpass, a flash of color, a tattered pink blanket caught her eye. She slammed the brakes, the car skidding on the wet pavement. It wasn't just a blanket, it was a stroller. And huddled beside it, trying to shield a tiny, bundled form, was Julie, her granddaughter. Margaret's heart didn't just break, it detonated. She was out of the car before the engine quieted, the icy rain soaking her thin sweater. Julie. The girl, Julie Campbell, looked up. Her eyes, once bright, were hollow pits of despair in a face streaked with grime. She was 19. She was a child herself. "Grandma," she whispered, her voice cracking. "No, you can't be here." "Get in the car," Margaret commanded, her voice a low, dangerous rumble that surprised even herself. "No, Grandma, you don't understand. They'll see you. You have to go." Julie frantically tried to pull the soaked blanket tighter around the coughing, whimpering bundle in her arms. "Who will see me, Julie?" Margaret's eyes scanned the shadows. The roar of traffic overhead was deafening, but under it she felt a new, cold fear. She grabbed the flimsy stroller with one hand and her granddaughter's arm with the other. "We are not discussing this." "Please," Julie sobbed, a desperate, animal-like sound. "Please don't call Mom, don't call them, don't call anyone." Margaret looked at the baby, her great-grandson. His lips had a terrifying, bluish tinge. The rules ceased to exist. The system was a failure. "I'm not calling anyone," Margaret said, her voice like flint. "Get in the car, now." She didn't drive home. Home was compromised. Home was where her own daughter, Lisa Perez, Julie's mother, was waiting, a woman who had swallowed the poison of lies whole. Lisa had told Margaret that Julie was unfit, dangerous, and on drugs. Margaret had tried to believe her, tried to respect the boundaries her daughter had set. Now, seeing the reality, a pure white-hot rage ignited in her chest. She drove to a cash-only motel off the highway, the Sleepy Haven, with a flickering neon sign that promised nothing of the sort. She paid for a week in cash, most of her Social Security check. The room smelled of bleach and stale smoke. "Get in the shower, both of you," Margaret ordered, turning the heat on full blast. "Use all the towels." While steam filled the room, Margaret went to the 24-hour convenience store. She didn't buy soup. She bought baby formula, diapers, a thermometer, fever reducer, antiseptic wipes, and a burner phone. She was launching a secret, desperate mission, and she was doing it alone. When she returned, Julie was sitting on the edge of the bed, wrapped in a thin motel towel, rocking the sleeping baby. The child's skin was still pale, but the blue tint was fading. "He has a name," Julie whispered, not looking up. "It's Aaron." "Aaron," Margaret repeated. She sat on the other bed, the cheap nylon comforter crinkling beneath her. "You have 20 minutes to tell me everything, Julie, and you will not lie to me. Who is they?" Julie flinched. The story came out in a torrent of sobs and shattered sentences. The baby's father wasn't some teenage fling. He was Peter Edwards, the youngest son of the Edwards family. A family whose name was etched in brass on university libraries and hospital wings. A family with cutthroat political ambitions. He was nice at first," Julie cried. "And when I told him I was pregnant, he changed." He hadn't just changed. He'd sixed his family on her. They offered her money, a lot of money. "To take care of it," Julie shuddered. When she refused, the threats started. They told her she was an unfit mother, that they would prove she was an addict, that they would take the baby and she would never see him again. I took the money they offered for the procedure, Julie confessed, her face collapsing in shame. I took it and I ran. I thought I could hide, but they found me. They took my wallet, my phone. They hurt me, Grandma. She pulled down the collar of her shirt, revealing a dark, sickening bruise. They said if they found me again, they wouldn't just take Aaron. They'd make sure I disappeared. Who? Margaret's voice was dangerously calm. A man. He calls himself Jeffrey. He said he fixes problems for the family. Margaret's blood ran cold. This wasn't a family dispute. This was a war, and her granddaughter was a refugee. They told Mom I was using, Julie whispered. And Mom, she believed them. She told them where I was staying. That's why I had to run to the bridge. I had nowhere else to go. The betrayal was absolute. Her own daughter, Lisa, had sided with the wolves against her own child. The switch inside Margaret flipped. The sweet old grandma was gone. What was left was something else entirely. She activated the burner phone. Her first call was not to the police. It was to her daughter. Lisa, Margaret said, her voice flat. Mom, where are you? The police were asking. You, Margaret interrupted. Well, listen, I have Julie. I have the baby. And I know what you did. Mom, you don't understand. She's dangerous. The Edwards family, they've been so kind, they're just trying to help. They are trying to steal her baby, Lisa. They threatened her. They beat her. And you pointed them right to her. A horrified silence stretched down the line. No, Lisa whispered. They said she was a risk to herself. They lied, and you were a fool, Margaret snapped. Stay out of this, Lisa. If you call the police, if you tell the Edwards family you heard from me, I will never forgive you. And you will never see your daughter or your grandson again. Do you understand me? She hung up, her hand trembling not from fear, but from rage. A sharp, polite knock echoed through the flimsy door. Julie's head snapped up, her eyes wide with terror. He found us. Margaret put a finger to her lips. She moved to the peephole. Standing outside, holding a sleek black umbrella against the lingering drizzle, was a man in an impeccably tailored suit. Jeffrey. He wasn't looking at the door. He was looking at Margaret's old sedan in the parking lot. He knocked again, a patient, rhythmic tap-tap-tap. Margaret opened the door. Mrs. Mitchell, the man smiled. It didn't reach his cold eyes. A pleasure, may I come in? We seem to have a misunderstanding. You are not setting one foot in this room, Margaret said, blocking the doorway with her body. Jeffrey's smile faltered, just for a second. The competitiveness was palpable, a chilling energy coming off him in waves. I understand your protective instincts, but you are in possession of something that does not belong to you. The Edwards family is prepared to be very generous. They will cover all of Julie's medical expenses, a new apartment, a college fund. All they ask is for the child. He has a name. It's Aaron. The child, Jeffrey repeated, as if he hadn't heard her, is an heir to a significant legacy. He requires a specific environment, one which I'm sure you'll agree a bridge is not. And a motel room is, Margaret shot back. It's a step up, he conceded. But it's temporary. Give us the boy, Mrs. Mitchell. Don't make this difficult. The system, you'll find, is very sympathetic to a powerful, concerned family and very skeptical of a, shall we say, troubled young woman and a grandmother who has just effectively kidnapped her. This was the twist. They wouldn't paint Julie as the kidnapper. They'd paint Margaret as one. You're threatening to call the police on me. Margaret let out a short, harsh laugh. I'm not threatening anything. I'm stating a fact, Jeffrey said. You have 1 hour. Bring the girl and the baby to the Edwards estate. She will sign the papers. You will all walk away with more money than you've ever seen. Or, I will make one phone call. An Amber Alert will be issued, not for Julie. For you. Grandmother, 67, possibly senile, kidnaps a tryst daughter and newborn. How do you think that story ends for you? He handed her a business card. 1 hour. He turned and walked away, his polished shoes silent on the wet asphalt. Julie was hyperventilating. He's right, Grandma. We have to give up. We have to. Margaret looked at the card. She looked at her terrified granddaughter. She looked at the sleeping baby, so innocent of the cutthroat world he'd been born into. "No," she said. "We don't. We're not running, we're not hiding, and we're not giving in." "What are we going to do?" "They want to use the system," Margaret said, a terrifying, brilliant, and utterly illegal plan forming in her mind. "Let's use it first." She grabbed the burner phone. She didn't call the police. She called the one person in the city more powerful and more ruthless than the Edwards family. Deborah Sanchez, the most aggressive, unfireable investigative reporter at Channel 4 News. A woman Margaret had known from a cancer support group years ago. "Deborah," Margaret said, her voice steady, "it's Margaret Mitchell. I've got a story for you, and you're going to want to bring a camera and a lawyer." She didn't wait for the hour to be up. She packed Julie and the baby into the car. But she didn't drive to the Edwards estate. She drove to the Channel 4 studio downtown. The final, shocking confrontation wouldn't happen in a dark motel room or a cold bridge. It would happen live, under the glare of studio lights, where the entire city would be the jury. As they pulled into the news station's private garage, Margaret saw a black sedan, the same one from the motel, parked across the street. Jeffrey was watching. He'd underestimated her. He'd thought she was a sweet old grandma. He'd forgotten what she was, a survivor. Margaret looked at Julie. "You ready to fight?" Julie clutched her baby, her eyes no longer hollow, but burning with the same fire she saw in her grandmother's. "I'm ready." The battle was over. The war had just begun.